So today we're going to talk about 5 steps to creating a digital strategy. So yeah, I'm Steve. I've got about 20 years experience in B2B marketing, both client side and agency side. So I look after sort of delivery and operations here. So I tend to take sort of the output of the digital marketing strategy and then deliver that for ourselves and then for our clients. Michael, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi there, I'm Michael Dean. I've got about, again, 20 years experience in digital. My background's mainly agency working, so spent over 12 years in London, moving across to New Zealand and now back into Leeds. So I've got quite a lot of digital experience across different sectors. My responsibility here at SuccessFlow is to make sure all our clients are happy and deliver things through digital strategy.
Thank you very much, Michael. Do you want to cover off what we're going to talk about today?
Excellent. So we're going to look at the rapidly changing world. So obviously, digital marketing is moving on very quickly. So we're going to say, do we know ourselves? We're going to try and determine what we want to achieve. We're going to look at how we can build a strategy to achieve our objectives. Then we're going to see how we can plan and get it delivered. And more importantly, the 5th point is make sure we get there. So as I was saying, the world of digital and marketing is rapidly changing. Marketing world is getting far more complex. We've moved really from an activity marketing to a revenue-focused marketing strategy. And that really means that move away from just kind of delivering lots of things to actually start to mean that marketing actually starts to impact on the revenue of the business. And so making sure that marketing and sales are kind of aligned. As we can see from this IBM survey earlier this year, the complexity gap has massively widened, so that those things that we used to be able to deliver has absolutely grown, and therefore the skills required has increased as well. So not only is that what we've got to look at from a marketing point of view, we've also got to take into the fact that customer behavior has also changed. So are you prepared for change? Again, in a recent survey, it was noted that most of the CMOs, over 50% of them, were just underprepared. They just hadn't really thought about everything that was going on. And here is just kind of like a top 10 of the items that are kind of covered there. As you can see, things like the social media, which is one of the big items. So many, like 68% of people were still underprepared for what they needed to do. The explosion of data, and number one, the amount of data you can collect has massively led to the ability to be able to target, personalize, and customize what you need to do. And so that data explosion and also the growth of channels and devices means that you can actually target to an individual based on their needs and their wants. That's a massive shift from where we were 5-10 years ago.
Tell us about Moonraker, Michael.
So, with everything happening, these top 4 are really kind of the biggest headaches we've got at the moment. So that data explosion, the growth of social media, and probably more the impact that social media has on that day-to-day world, the growth of the channels and the shifting of the customer demographics. As you can see, they're kind of all in that kind of magic quadrant of things that we really need to look at, and therefore things that are going to give us a big headache if we don't look at them straight away. And being prepared and having a strategy to look at these things is going to help us achieve those. So, you can't just keep doing the same old thing. Once upon a time it was good that, if you were hitting your targets, then everyone was happy and everyone just kept on giving you more money to hit your targets. That's kind of changed now. Performance no longer protects. You actually need to be prepared. And so now's the time to invest and reap the benefits. Doing nothing will just end up costing you a lot more in the long run. So we're going to roll into our first poll, and so it'd be great if you could have a look at the poll on the screen. I'm going to give you a few minutes for you to fill this out, and then we'll share this afterwards. So you should have a poll that's done onto the screen. So what is your reason for attending today? And please select everything that applies to you.
So I think this one's open to sort of multiple answers if you've got more than one reason for attending. Okay. We close the poll now, Michael. You ready?
Excellent. So we'll share this with you as well, just so you've got further information. So you can see there's a complete mix around why people are here. We're going to be having a look at, obviously, there's people looking at the general general interest in terms of what's going on, fact finding. We've got the interest in the best practice hints and tips. Hopefully we're going to share some of those with you today.
Oh, we definitely are.
And we want to know, obviously, others are just saying, well, what is everybody else doing in this digital strategy space? Some of you there, 39%, don't have a documented digital strategy, and it's just stated, the world has changed. It's really important to get there, so we'll help you with those kind of first steps onto that. And obviously, some of you have one, so hopefully you'll also learn some tips, hints, and tricks to help you on the way. So I think the first an important place to start is to really understand where you are. Only 1 in 6 marketeers measure ROI from their current content marketing activities. Now, measurement is the most important thing to do. If you don't measure, you don't know where you are. If you don't know where you are, you don't know what's working well and what's not working as well. So it's really important for us to really look and focus on what we're trying to do. So we've got a few things to help kind of understand yourself. So understand your organization. What is your current digital capabilities? Do you know where you're strong and where you're weak? So, what bits are you performing well as a team? What bits do you kind of help with agencies or other people help you get to where you are? How do you know you're doing well? Well, have you benchmarked against the current digital activities and results? And do you know how you compare against your key competitors? So we're going to look at these points and go into a bit more detail so we actually know where we are against kind of the industry, our competitors, and ourselves. So the first thing to do really is to run a situation analysis. So a kind of a questionnaire document. This is one that we use with our clients. And it's really about understanding, who is your target audience, who are your competitors, what are your main objectives, and really using this document to kind of get those questions out so that you have it documented in one place and everybody in your team really understands and knows what's happening. One of the second things we do as well is a capability assessment. Again, this is something that you can run with yourself and look at, how are you in terms of the different areas? How are you in planning? Do you have a digital strategy there? How are you in terms of reaching your document, reaching your audience? So, for instance, are you using the social? Do you have a good email database? How do you reach that target audience? How are you interacting with them? So, what type of content are they digesting? What type of content do they want to digest? Are they kind of completing information? Do you actually use surveys? Do you use polls? Are you collecting data on them? So really understanding how you interact. And then how are you converting them? So it's great having loads of people interested in what you do, but at the end of the day, marketing is now moving to that revenue marketing focus, and it's about converting into sales leads. So moving people across that funnel and being able to move them into sales, where sales can pick them up and convert them into clients. And then once you have them, obviously you've got the engagement part, and it's really important to keep people engaged. So this simple survey will help look at a couple of items which will help see where you are. And more importantly, it also helps you in terms of the different roles. So do you have the right skills in your team or in your kind of extended team to be able to do what you need to do across the kind of the digital and insights, across the creative side, across the marketing, the selling, and the technology. So by completing a situations analysis questionnaire and running a capability assessment will help you just get some of the things of where you are today.
In terms of the digital readiness, obviously we use this ourselves, as we know. Quite a few of our clients now are using this to track progress as well. So not only tell you where you are, you can set goals through this and track improvement and movement across digital. So in terms of reporting back to the board and the wider sort of set of stakeholders in the organisation, it's proving to be a particularly good tool. We're going to talk a little bit about this at the end of this section in terms of how we might help people to complete this. I think, Michael, right?
Indeed, yes.
Okay.
So we've got, other tools as well to know ourselves. So we can run an audit of our digital activity. We can kind of look at where we are across social networks. Have a look in terms of, what is our audience and the insights. So how many followers do we have? What social networks and channels are different people that we're trying to get to our audience? What do they use? What time zones and languages are they looking for? If we're looking at kind of language and multinational corporations, where are they at what time of day? Are they individuals logging on, or are they logging on as part of their company? Are they interacting with you, and how are they doing it? So really kind of being able to run an audit of the activity across your social channels is a fantastic place to start. Really understand who's following you and is it the right audience that's there.
And as an example, because in the presentation we'd love to show you everything that goes into the digital marketing strategies that we create, but we want to give a taster here today. So there is the equivalent here for email, through your web, through paid. There's a whole sort of set of suite of insights and reports we can get here, right?
And then it's really important to know where we are in terms of kind of our benchmarks and we need to benchmark against ourselves. So one of the questions that keeps coming on from clients is, where are we compared to our industry? Where are we compared to our competitors? They're really great questions, and we'll cover those in a minute. But the first thing to know is, where are you against yourself? What are you doing? Are you improving every time you run a campaign? Are you running each quarter an improvement that does it? So having a look at some of the basic conversions across your different social channels. Looking at how many times are you posting? What is the average click-through rates? Are people actually sharing your content? Are they liking your content? And more importantly, do they lead to conversion? So conversion tracking across social is really important. There's no point a lot of people talking and sharing about your documents, your content, things you're doing, if they're not actually linking and actually landing on those pieces of content and being a conversion. The same with emails. What is your email database size? Is it something that needs to improve? Do you need to extend your reach through email? What is your average open rates? Are your emails that you're sending out delivering based on your average benchmark? Are you exceeding? How do you exceed? The open there is about subject line, making sure that the subject line sells the open. The message of the body sells the click, so how are the clicks percentage being done? Also about, within email, understanding your data size and making sure that your data's clean. Any hard bounces? Are they hard bounces because somebody's left an organization, in which case maybe your account manager or sales director can phone up and actually reconnect to that audience? Or is it just dirty data, in which case remove it and make sure that your database is not based on size but is based on quality? And then of course your website. So a lot of things will drive to your website, to landing pages. So really understand, is your audience the right audience? How often are they coming? What's the difference between new and returning visitors? So for instance, do you have a better engagement over a longer period of time? What's the average time on site? So are people making sure they digest things or just getting lost on your site? The number of pages and things like the bounce rates and landing page conversion. So understanding your own metrics, running from your own, maybe your last campaign or the last 90-day cycle you ran, will give you a place to say, from today we can move forward and we can look at improving each of these on every campaign we run.
So Confucius would approve of this.
Confucius
Michael,
says yes.
Confucius, does he? He said something like that. Okay, what's next?
So it's really important to understand where you are against your competitors, especially in the social network, where social is an always-on channel. First of all, you probably need to identify your competitors. Once you've identified them, see how they're doing. Are they using the channels? Are they using the same channels as you? How often are they posting? What are they talking about? Are they the things that you should be talking about? What's the audience really interested in? What are the most popular posts and conversions? So you can really start to see, well, yes, this is the world of me and us, but what's the world out there really looking at? And your competitors will really help you to understand the landscape out there.
And I think there's some useful sort of tools and apps that we use to gather a lot of this information, which we will share this kind of information in the follow-up after the webinar when we send through the slides and also video. Or by the way, we'll be sending through the slides and the video, so we normally ask that question. So yeah, we'll be doing that, and we'll also send through some useful links so that you can take a look at some of the sort of tools and tips that we use here as well.
And then it's important to review against industry benchmarks. This is an industry benchmark we compiled from the Smart Insights website. There's several around there, but really understand, what sector are you in, and how does your email open rates and click-through rates compare to the average. So are you doing better? Are you doing worse? What can you do to improve it? Of course, if you're doing better, then you're looking at your own benchmarks and you want to improve on them. But this at least gives you a kind of an idea of where you want to be heading. Is it just your content, or is it the industry that helps shape these things? And if there's one thing really we want to take away from this knowing yourself, it's to be able to take the capability assessments. We have this available, so we can run this for you free of charge. gives you an idea of where you are in terms of the different sections you're running, gives you a really good overview of saying, well, where are we today and what do we need to improve?
So as you can see on screen there, if you want to email us at digital.week@successflow.co.uk or tweet us at SuccessFlow Limited, or you can use the hashtag GetDigital. So we're going to run another poll now. So the question is here, so how well are you tracking digital benchmarks, results and comparisons against competitors? This one is just one answer, please. So if you could select one from the top, which is 5, no problems here. That's a big focus for us. Down to somewhere in the middle, tracking some, but not others, could do better. Or if you want to select 1, if that's you, basically help. So let's know kind of where you are. That'd be great. Okay, let's take a look at the results. Okay, so we have all right. So maybe sort of majority or 40% getting towards somewhere in the middle. So doing well in some areas, but could do with improvement in the other. Only 2% have nailed it. We're continuously improving ourselves. That you can't rest on your laurels, as Mike was talking about earlier. And 28% help. So in terms of follow-up, for ourselves, if you wanted to tweet us or drop us an email, we can provide some further, info. But it's interesting to see that sort of mix there. So thank you very much for that. Okay, so step 2. So now, there's Ray Charles. I never want to be famous, only wanted to be great. The great quote from Ray there. So now you know yourself. What's next? So we know where we are. We know our benchmarks. We know our competitors. Although obviously we see from the results of that poll that there's a real mix in terms of where everybody is. What's next? So let's look at understanding the market trends within the industry. If you can get some shortcuts in terms of what your key target audience, the personas you're targeting, the kind of businesses, what are the general sort of trends in terms of digital marketing, content types, then you can start to plan for that, and that is a really good input from your plan. So fill in the gaps within your capability assessment. We talked about that earlier. If you know where you're strong and where you're weak, you can make plans to remain strong because things change and you need to keep moving. You can make plans to develop any capability gaps, and that might be sending somebody on a training course. It might be hiring a contractor, or it might be finding an agency to plug that gap. In terms of some of the stats on the right-hand side here, some of them were really interesting to us. So 88% of firms are using third-party providers for at least one component of their digital transformation, their digital activity. It's I think the days of organisations going alone and trying to do everything themselves seems to be not what we're seeing at the moment. 63% of businesses plan to improve their online customer experience this year, but only 26% of organisations are completely ready to execute digital strategies. So I imagine there's a few more that are getting towards ready, but quite a difference there in terms of the the two stats. Next will be, so, what do you want to achieve? If you don't know what you want to achieve, then you definitely won't achieve it. You may achieve something else, but not those requirements. So, what are the specific business requirements? What are the goals? What are the things you are aiming for? What are the specific objectives that we want to achieve that ultimately will mean that we've reached those requirements? What are we going to track? So what are the key performance indicators for everything you're doing digitally? Everybody will have a different set here, but what do you need to measure to have a chance of at least showing improvement? And then the critical success factors. That could be it could be bringing in a new CRM. It could be putting your team on a new training course. It could be bringing in a new website. Whatever it is, we need this. We need to understand this so that we can build that into the plan. So in terms of determining what you want to achieve, look for quick wins. So we're going to talk a little bit about how we do that. If everything feels of medium to long term, if it all feels a bit hard and it feels a little bit like it's going to take a long time to achieve, then there's no better way than bringing out some quick wins within your digital, so that you can show to yourself that things are moving on, and to your sort of wider set of stakeholders too. And then I know some kind of overarching sort of vision, something that summarizes where you're trying to get to with digital, covering digital marketing, digital selling, something that will help to explain to the wider organization, the wider business, what your team, what you're trying to achieve. So, next up, so this is a little bit in terms of what I was talking about the marketing trends in the industry. This is actually an example of the kind of trends that and reports that we subscribe to, where we can see a lot of organisations, especially in business to business, looking at marketing automation, content marketing, social media marketing, mobile. This helps us to look at where we need to set our own capabilities and invest in training and recruitment, et cetera, et cetera. So if you can find the similar sort of reports, and we've got some information we will send out with the post-webinar follow-up that may help with this, where you might find this kind of information. In the short term, Smart Insights, you go on the Smart Insights website, who are partnering with us, full disclosure, for Digital Week. Smart Insights have got some fantastic information on their website when it comes to digital. So what do I need to do first, and how do I prioritize? Well, if you don't look at all the things that need to get done, you won't know what you need to do first. So if you sort of leap into LinkedIn, we're going to get into LinkedIn. We're going to go on LinkedIn and we're going to do some content promotion. Then that may work out, but it may not be the first thing you should do. We need to look at everything. So the process that we've developed in terms of how we do this, a facilitated workshop is second to none for us. We've built up, so we had a capability gap in terms of facilitated workshop trained people. So we filled that with 8 of us now. We don't do any other requirements capped without some form of facilitated workshop. We can't speak kind of highly enough of it. So capture the requirements and do this in a facilitated way. Help get the right stakeholders in the room and gather that info.
Yeah, and that's something you can do internally yourselves. One of you to be facilitated, preferably trained, and making sure you've got the right key stakeholders in that room, and you're running that session to get everybody on board. And I think that's kind of key, is to make sure that when you run the facilitated workshop, you've got all the key stakeholders in that room, because you're going to come up together as a collective, rather than kind of giving, well, okay, this is something I've done and this is my vision of the truth, and now I need you to execute this. If you get everybody together at that facilitated workshop, you can all agree what needs to happen and what needs to do first.
Very collaborative as well, isn't it? As you say, Michael, it's not marketing of generating some requirements. Then that document will get reviewed with others. You've done that together. We'd love to go into more detail and depth on this, but I'm conscious of time, so I'm going to sort of speed up a little bit. One of the things that would come out of the Facilitate workshop is this impact versus effort model. We love this. Our clients love this. In terms of high impact down to low impact to high, low effort to high, your quick wins live here. We get straight onto these ones and show results and show deliverables. And then we've got some other ones here. So maybe good benefit in there, but then further consideration. That is something we would advise you to.
Yeah, so if nothing else, after this session, get your team together, get everybody to start scribbling some ideas on Post-it notes, and then decide whether they have high impact, low effort, and see if there's some quick wins that you can kind of deliver straight away. It doesn't take long, maybe 20 minutes of a team together, and you can instantly say, look, here are the things that we could get on with now. Anything that's in for consideration, that's just something that may need planning, or it may be something that needs to be parked because you need technology that's not available yet. But at least you've got it on the board, everything's visible, nothing gets forgotten.
And then define the vision, goals, objectives, KPIs, CSF. So we really like pyramids for some reason. I don't know why, but in terms of models, they tend to work very well. So we tend to use this sort of a model where we would build up this information, and it is in a single kind of infographic, a single slide that is fairly easy to understand and can be shared with folks. Next, so prioritization. So we won't turn this into an agile project management and sort of Moscow webinar. That will be a new one. I'm sure we'll run that later this year. But if you have this facilitated workshop and you're gathering through these objectives and what it is you're going to achieve, then you can use something like the Moscow prioritization. What must happen? If this doesn't happen, then there will be absolute sort of failure and shock. What should be done as part of the digital project? What could you do? But what could be also left out too? And what won't you have this time? This sort of prioritization, again done as a collaborative, is really good at getting consensus on what to deliver.
And a good rule of thumb is you must have should be maybe 40% and no more of your entire project. That gives you scope then to make sure that your shoulds and coulds can get delivered in the same time frame.
Exactly, and so we could wax lyrical about agile project management within marketing, but we'll save that for another webinar later this year. So do one thing: run a facilitate workshop. Run it with a trained facilitator if you have one in the organisation. Ask around. You might be surprised. HR might have them. IT. If you've got the marketing, great. Run one of these sessions. Again, if you want to find out more about how we run them, we'd be delighted to have a chat with you. You can email us or tweet us there. So, step 3, develop a plan to achieve your objectives. So, you know what you want to achieve, so that's clearly got to be next. What is the plan? Now, look on the right-hand side there. That graphic again is one from Smart Insights. They do some great research. And this is no exception here. So organizations with a clearly defined digital marketing strategy. So we have 16% yes, it's defined and in a separate document, 40% yes, and it's integrated into our marketing strategy, but we have 44% with no defined strategy, kind of broadly in line with what we've seen from the polls. So we're partnering this week with Smart Insights, and but we've been using the race planning framework, the digital marketing race planning framework, for some 18 months, 2 years now. So with so much needed, how do you know what to do? So very kind of briefly, looking at the Smart Insights race planning framework, basically what this allows you to do is to pull together everything that you are doing at the moment in digital, everything you plan to do, and put it and basically it fits within a methodology. And it also shows you, like the capability assessment, it shows where you're strong, and it also shows you where you are weak. But it gives you a methodology to follow. I can't say that word clearly. So from all the way from strategy. So what is the strategy that you are working towards for digital? How are you going to reach the audience that Michael talked about earlier? How are you going to interact with that audience once you've found them? How are you going to turn that interest and those downloads and that content interaction into leads? How are you going to convert that into something that sales can pick up? And once they've been converted, how are you going to deal with them as customers? So we can't really speak highly enough of that. You should take a look at that one if you don't know it already. So define your tactics to meet your objectives. So this is a format that we tend to use, where we can talk about the tactics such as target audience personas, customer journey, content, and then we can look at how we're going to achieve this and start to look at the quick wins we've got from the facilitated workshop. So we're going to develop a strategy. We're going to do a partnership analysis. We're going to come up with some great named campaigns. We are going to do some segments of our target audience. We're going to map our customer journey, et cetera, et cetera. And this all sort of builds up from the benchmarking, the competitor analysis, the workshop. Working in 90-day cycles, so you may get a 12, 18-month digital plan. Everybody's kind of slightly different, but we recommend working in these 90-day cycles and looking at the planning of this phase, running that, and then doing some insights and playbacks. Have a session to look back on that 90 days and work out how it's gone and look to optimize. Again, something we're sort of doing at quite a high level here. Next is the terms of skills. So everything, you can have a great plan, you can have the right objective, but if you don't have the right skills, then obviously it's going to come unstuck. So we really like this this infographic here, which talks about the modern marketeer, part artist, part scientist. So we've got this as a good overview of the sort of common B2B marketing team or extended team that people need to develop now. So this is a bit of a fun sort of infographic and a bit of a shortcut to the kind of things and skill areas that you should be, looking for in your team, and it links nicely back to the capability assessment, which would show you maybe you're actually strong at the sort of the content side, but not so strong at performance tracking. Perhaps you're really good in terms of creating nice visual content, but not so good when it comes to maybe delivering and converting that great content into leads, revenue, profit, etc. So if you do one thing, we think you should use the Spine Insights race planning framework to organize your tactics and get a plan and be able to sort of measure and build from there. And we'll do a poll question. So I'll launch this poll for you, shall I? This is our last poll of the day. So if you'd like to pick that one, Michael.
Exactly. So thanks, Steve. It's really about how you're delivering your digital activities to date. As some of the inserts and insights came from the IBM study, there's quite a lot of people wanting to be able to in-house and also agencies. So what's the combination you've got today?
I think the so in terms of the skill set, etc. I think interesting to see just what the sort of methodology that people are taking, and I think we've got about done there. So let's close that poll. What are you seeing there, Michael?
Excellent. So that's a good mixture, really. So we've got quite a lot, just over a third running it in-house. So we've got some good in-house skills and capabilities. Always good, again, to see where you are. If you've got those teams and skills in-house, then obviously it's something to be able to develop. About a third of you, again, kind of a little bit of agency help, and then probably the remaining third just using kind of more agencies in there. So it's good to see we've got some good, strong internal teams. And obviously that's going to help you in terms of the planning here, because you've got the skill sets under one roof, which means if you create a digital strategy, it's going to help you to be able to execute that because you've got the skills and you've also got the resources in-house to do so. So fantastic.
So how about a bit of Billie Jean King, Michael?
Excellent. So it's one thing to kind of to run things, but obviously, as Billie Jean King says, it's all about champions that take responsibility. So, we need to have a look at, we've created a digital strategy, but we need to know how can we deliver that and what are those key milestones. We need to understand kind of, the clear roles and responsibilities. So it's okay saying we're going to deliver something, but who's in charge of delivering that? Who's in charge of okaying it, making sure that it's fit for purpose? And then also we want to track our progress as well.
So you're going to do sort of like project kind of health and management sort of quick 101 here.
So very quickly, because time is pressing, but the most important thing really, and Steve mentioned it earlier on, is this 90-day cycles and being able to give yourself an ability to be able to deliver something within that 90 days. So yes, there'll be a lot of things that you need to kind of work in terms of planning. You might need to do some discovery, but also identify things that you can deliver within that first 90 days. They may be small, some of the quick wins. Being able to have that 90-day schedule will help you focus on delivering something in chunks, making sure that you can deliver, but also then foresight. So you've got the plan of 90 days in detail. You know what's going to happen in the next 6 months. You've got a bit more of a sketched out ideas from 6 to 12 months. And overall, you've got a really good idea of where you're heading over the next 18 months. But making sure you have this high-level schedule will keep you on track, but also keep all your stakeholders that you need to keep informed on where things are going. There's a lot of things. As we stated earlier on, the role of the marketeer has massively broadened out. So making sure you know who's responsible and accountable, who needs to be consulted. So when do you need to get your experts in, and when do you need to ask them, and who needs to be informed? Do you need to keep IT informed of what's happening with some structure? Do you need to keep the board up to date with where you are on your KPIs and your tracking? So making sure that across the whole idea, from template to content creation to the social media to automation, so every different aspect, you've got really clear understanding of who's doing day-to-day work, who's accountable for the idea of the overall responsibility, who needs to be consulted, and who needs to be kept informed. And then some type of project management tool. It can be as simple as an Excel spreadsheet, or there's loads of the tools on the market as well that help you do it. The idea gives you a good, clear timeline of what's going on, where are you in progress, gives you some tasks, what tasks need to be delivered in order to be able to achieve things. by putting something down in that kind of solid format will help sure that you don't miss steps. So often you know what you're doing and then realize half an hour later or 3 weeks later that you forgot to do one key part of it. Project management tool with some tasks and timelines will help you keep on track.
It's a little bit kind of housekeeping, isn't it? It might feel like, oh, we've definitely got this, but it's often surprised in terms of this not being something that's embedded in a in a marketing team. So hopefully something you've got already or you will be looking at.
And then this is one of the things that we've brought on board for us quite recently, and it's really helping the understanding of where we are, having that visibility. So we've got a board here, you can see the visual, but really there's different elements of it. So when something comes in, you've got a new idea, a new project, it needs to be checked in with the team. So make sure you've got the right team around, so go to that checking point. There also may be some time when something's parked because you're waiting for somebody else to do some work. So have an area that you can just park, kind of as we have, the departure lounge, somewhere where things can be held and not forgotten about. Then you need to start planning, so move things into kind of the takeoff zone. So you're starting to plan for things, you're starting to look at what needs to happen. You're getting people and experts in to do that. Then you're delivering things, so making sure you know what's in delivery at today. Making sure that you know what's going on and making sure that nothing clashes at all. And then, of course, you've got your internal reviews, and if you need external reviews as well. And that's a cycle where things can move backwards and forwards. But by having everything visible means that nothing gets lost. Oh, what happened to so-and-so? Oh, yeah, I think I was waiting for a meeting. Here, it's in your departure lounge. It's waiting. You can very quickly see, that's on there. Oh, what's going on? Yes, so-and-so is delivering that. Oh, I didn't know they were delivering that. So-and-so is also delivering that. Having a visibility of who's delivering and having internal checks. Well, who is responsible for checking something before it goes out? Who's responsible for checking the QA on and making sure the quality is up to speed? And then we've got the last thing there, which is wrap up road. With always, every single project, every single part of a project, we evaluate it and strongly recommend you doing the same. What went well? What didn't go so well? What would you have liked to have known if you'd have had more information? Having this visual board is a really good way of any team, no matter how big or small, to be able to track what you're doing every single day, every single week.
Thanks for that, Michael.
And then as your team gets wider, as the remote working happens, you might also need to know, who's working on something. How do I get information to and from people? Oh, I just emailed so-and-so. I emailed it. Oh, yeah, but I get 200, 300 emails a day. Oh, I didn't know what happened to that. We use Slack internally. There's also tools like Yammer around there. So things that have been around, collaborating tools that are really easy to use. You can get your teams on, you can move it into projects, you can have different channels for different types of projects. It means that stuff is just recorded in one place. Nothing's forgotten. It's easy to communicate with the team, whether it's in the office, in a different department, on different site locations, or even home working. Having this kind of ability to be able to support that team and that collaborative effort means that anybody, no matter whether they've started and they're a junior or it's somebody that's been there with 40 years experience, everybody can collaborate in one place.
I've got to say, in terms of the sort of the amount of email that's carved out of the business that's no longer there, email traffic, going to several people and nobody really taking ownership of whether the email's for them and it getting lost. We get our plans delivered and we get our clients' plans delivered far quicker because we can collaborate on something and we can quieten that channel if it's no longer of interest, or we can just leap in as a team and get something chatted through and fixed, whether we're on the train or what have you. Recommended highly from us. So one thing, Michael?
One thing, it has to be the visual project board, knowing where you are today, knowing what everybody in your team is working on, understanding what deadlines are there. One of the things I didn't mention there, maybe you've got a blue magnet because something's urgent or something needs to be pushed across. You've got it there in front of you every day.
And I think we use it in a particular way with with our MD and our commercial team. For the marketeers out there or the salespeople who might be interested in this kind of thing, really works well across department where people can wander over to the board and have that visibility. So something your creative departments, your facilities management should be able to create your board and put it up on the wall, and we recommend this. We'd love to tell you about the board we've created and how we did it because we're really passionate about it and it's revolutionising how we're working together to get everything we need to get done delivered. I think wrap up now, Michael, on step 5.
Yeah, step 5. I mean, it's the most important thing is to measure and measure and measure again. You know, if we really understand what we're doing, we understand how we can improve it. So, you know, we have that kind of race strategy document, something that's on paper. It's not kind of the big kind of encyclopedia. We'll look at kind of regular reporting and insights, and I'll go into a little bit about the difference. So, you know, as I was saying, it's so important to have that kind of single place, that single document where anybody in the team, any key stakeholder, any management can come along and say, what is it you're trying to do and what are you trying to achieve? Oh, here are the requirements we're trying to do. This is what we're benchmarked against. Here are some quick wins we've managed to do. Oh, well, who's your audience? That's also in there. It's just kind of not the kind of the encyclopedia, but it has all the key information and it's kept living. So whether you do that kind of weekly or you might just do it every quarter, every 90-day cycle, how have you delivered, what have you delivered, just keeping it up to date, making sure it's not a burden. You know, this is something that shouldn't be kept on the shelf collecting dust. It's something that you just kind of use every day.
It's not something you print and with nice binding and then put on the coffee table.
Exactly, not unless you want to have something to rest your mug on. But generally, you know, we keep this thing and we keep all ours up to date. It's just something that's quite simple. It doesn't take long to keep up to date. It also reminds you that maybe every quarter you need to get that facilitated workshop, you need to get a team together, the next objectives, and it's still what they thought we would. It's a massively changing environment. What happened 3 months, 6 months ago, what's going to happen 3 months, 6 months in the future? You know, it changes, our audience changes, how they interact with media changes. It's great to just have this living document. And then reporting and insights. So everything really, you know, it should have a report in terms of where we're tracking what the email opens, we're tracking kind of the data that's coming out of it. But that's great, you know, that's giving you numbers. What you really need to be able to do is turn those numbers into insights. What do those numbers mean? You know, what are they doing? So, you know, what are we measuring? What really matters, and then can we focus on that? How is that kind of really helping us achieve our objectives? You know, why was the open rate so good or so bad? What can we do to improve it? Was it the audience type? Do our audience understand? Was it the frequency we sent mailing? Was it too frequent, not frequent enough? Are we posting on the right channels? So really understanding those reports and in creating the insights will really help you to be able to shape the future and shape your document.
So the one thing for this then, Michael?
One thing is to have some sort of strategy document. We use the RACE framework. We find it's really useful to be able to kind of see what's going on in the planning phases. How's our reach doing? What's our interaction doing? Where are we converting and how are we engaging our current audience? Even if it's just those sections, have it documented. But generally just make sure you've got that information somewhere so that anybody at any point can say, who are you targeting? What are we doing? What's the key content we've got to meet those people?
Thank you for that. All right, so I'm going to wrap up. So what we covered. So Michael talked about a rapidly changing world. We talked about the importance of knowing yourself. Determine what you want to achieve. Set that strategy for those objectives and that achievement. Get that plan built. Get it delivered. And then have some oversight in terms of making sure that you get there. Thank you, everybody, for staying with us. Vast majority of you stayed with us through the entire webinar. So thank you very much for that. In terms of SuccessFlow, we've been going about 5 years now. We help clients with digital marketing strategy and things like delivery of digital marketing, marketing automation, make sure you've got the right platforms, tools, all the things we talked about really earlier. Just really to say thank you very, very much for joining us today. If you could connect with us on LinkedIn, drop us an email, use #GetDigital to talk with us on Twitter. That would be fantastic. So thank you very much. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, and hopefully we'll speak to you again in the rest of the Digital Week. Bye for now. Thank you.